Howdy Beans, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Howdy Beans podcast. I'm your host, Luke the Elder Bean. Hope you're doing well, hope you're all good. As per usual, in today's episode, we're going to be looking at RoboCop Rogue City from 2023. This is part of my £5 bargain or bin game review series. But before we get into all of that and more, I want a bit of housekeeping because I like to keep my house nice and clean. And if RoboCop is coming around, I don't want any tickets and violations for not having a nice, clean house. So in order to make sure that I don't get a violation from RoboCop, make sure that you follow me on Twitter, howdybeans_pod. If you listen to this on YouTube, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And finally, if you listen to this on Spotify on your mobile phone, don't forget to follow me and give me a 5-star rating. So, as I mentioned, this is my game review of RoboCop Rogue City. For anybody that doesn't know, my £5 bargain or bin review series is basically where I scour the internet, well, predominantly Amazon, eBay, Xbox Game Store, and I look for deals. I look for video games that are £5 or less. Also, if I'm out and about and I go to a car boot or I go to a retro game store like CX here in the UK, I'll look for games that, £5 or less, so that I can see if they're basically worth it or not. Is it a bargain? Have I managed to get myself a hidden gem, or does it belong in the bin? And that's kind of the aim of this series, really, is to kind of look into the games in depth, see more about them, see what they're about, see what they're trying to do, what they're trying to say, and see, like I said, if you found a diamond in the rough, or is it just, is it not worth, the sale price, and it is just worth throwing it in the bin and never talking about it ever again. And today is no different, as we're going to be talking about RoboCop. Now, I'm a huge RoboCop fan. I grew up with the movies. I've watched RoboCop multiple times. I'm actually quite surprised that I actually haven't looked into RoboCop on the podcast yet. But now playing a bit of this game and getting around to doing this review, I think I'm going to have to change that and get around to looking into the movies, specifically how this game is set between RoboCop 2 and before RoboCop 3. I feel like I've seen RoboCop 2. I vaguely remember RoboCop 3. If I remember, wasn't that the one that he has a jetpack or something like that? I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched RoboCop 3. But it would be interesting to go back and to watch the RoboCop films, because they are, aesthetically just pure 80s. They are a movie and sort of article of the time, but still a great, still a brilliant, still is something that you can put on and watch no matter what time of the year and still enjoy. It's gruesome, it's bloody, it's 80s, it is brilliant. You know what I mean? So I don't know why I haven't, but yeah, now playing this game, I'm really going to have to start looking into them. Anyway, so this game is made from Teon. Now, Teon is an interesting company, if you ask me, because like for the longest time, Teon was kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, really. They were a company that if you heard the name, you'd be like, oh, God, here you go. Get ready for something terrible to be made. Because like I first learned about Teon all the way back years and years ago with, what's his name now? Angry Joe. And Angry Joe, he did basically a review around about 2014, I think it was, which was for the Rambo, the video game. And I remember watching that, and it was for the longest time known as the worst game ever on that system. It was just absolutely terrible. And I remember Angry Joe's review was like, it's a man, not a god. Come on, cameras, just taking the mick out of it. And it was one of those where it's like they just disappeared. I was like, look, I didn't hear of them again for years until 2019 came along. And they did Terminator Resistance. Now, if you are a regular listener of the podcast, you will know that I did a review of Terminator Resistance. I think January, February it came out. So if you haven't listened to it, by all means, go back. I think it was part of what games I played of January, what games I played for February, or March maybe. Can't remember. But I did a review of it. And if you've listened to that review, or if you haven't, the long and short of it is I basically realise like they've come a long way since 2014. They've upped the stakes. They've done a really fantastic job with Terminator. Like the game really did feel like a successor. It felt like it belonged. It felt like Terminator. It looked like Terminator. It sounded like Terminator. And it was set in the far future when the machines have taken over. Skynet is running everything, and you play as a survivor. And it was an absolutely fantastic experience, which was one of those when once I played it, I was like, I've got to play their another game. And the next game they did was RoboCop, and I thought, well, if they did justice to Terminator, there is no way that they can't do justice to RoboCop. And so far, again, I don't want to jump to anything because again, I'll get to that point in a second. But what they've been able to do with RoboCop and how authentically accurate they've managed to be with this game to the overall series of RoboCop is absolutely impressive. It really, really is something to behold. So I just wanted to mention that. But as for sort of the game's plot, so anybody that doesn't know, so in RoboCop Rogue City, players take on the role of RoboCop as he patrols the crime-ridden streets of old Detroit. This game is set after the events of RoboCop 2, and in a new crime wave surge, spearheaded by a mysterious figure known as the New Guy, RoboCop must investigate this new threat while battling the Torchheads gang, who take over a new station to make a public statement to the New Guy. During the encounter, RoboCop experiences hallucinations of his past life as Alex Murphy, which impact his actions and require the intervention of his new partner, Lewis. The game features a mix of combat, investigations, and interrogations with iconic characters from the RoboCop universe. So that is the summary of the game. As for sort of development, so I want to talk about the development of the game. So there wasn't a lot when I looked into my research, but from what I did find is quite interesting. So, RoboCop Rogue City features an original storyline based on the first 3 RoboCop films. The game was developed by Teon and is published by Nacon in partnership with Metro Gold and Maya, which holds the rights to the franchise. The 3 companies work together to ensure it is faithful to the films. The development team watched them multiple times to incorporate their satirical aspect, especially that of the first film. Rogue City was developed using Unreal Engine 5. Original RoboCop actor Peter Weller returned to provide his voice and likeness for the game, which I'm so glad they managed to get him back, because if they couldn't get his likeness back or his voice back, I just don't feel like this game would be as authentic and as brilliant as it is, to be honest. So him coming back and having his likeness and having his voice really sell you on the fact of, yes, you are playing a RoboCop game. Especially like when you're walking around as RoboCop as well, and you can hear the thump, 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 thump of like his robotic legs. It's so sort of accurate to the show, to the film, but also to the fact of, yes, that, they have the sound in, and it's great. It's great. Anyway, sorry, I went off. I'll get onto all my thoughts in a minute. Anyway, as I was saying, so RoboCop's sluggish movements are also incorporated. Despite first-person shooters generally using swift gameplay, Peter Lecocha, I feel like I'm pronouncing your last name wrong, but I do. If so, I do apologize. The game's director said that reaching a balance on RoboCop's movements was one of the biggest design challenges on the project. He says, in quote, "He's kind of a slow and tankish, and we need to be true to the law, but also we cannot be super slow and super heavy." Lecocha, I think his name is, revealed in an interview that it took the team a total of 3 years to fully develop the game. So that is what I could find on the development. There is also an expansion that they're doing. So a standalone expansion titled Rogue City Unfinished Business is scheduled to release this year in July. In this expansion, RoboCop must infiltrate Omni Tower, a massive complex controlled by a group of elite mercenaries. The expansion will also introduce new weapons and flashback missions that allow players to play as Alex Murphy before he becomes RoboCop. So that is the sort of standalone expansion sort of sequel that comes out in July. And if I have done this review well, and I'm clever, hopefully you'll be seeing this review around July when that new expansion comes out to kind of tie in with it. So that's what I can find on the plot and the development. As for my experience on the game so far, it's biblical, and I don't use that word lightly. I genuinely mean it's very biblical. It's transcendent. It feels like I've stepped onto the set of RoboCop, like I am on RoboCop's back and I'm watching through his eyes, very much like being John Malkovich sort of experience, where I'm just seeing what RoboCop sees, and it feels like it. Like I said, when you walk around, you are slow, but you're not really slow. You're authentically slow, if that's even a thing. Like it makes sense for the character. Like one of the things they got wrong with the RoboCop reboot was they made him too quick, too agile, too sleek. He's meant to be a tank. He's meant to be like Doom Guy. He's meant to be sluggish. He's meant to not be able to jump or to climb over things. It's the fact of he's a robot. You know what I mean? Like he is an authentic, classic idea of an 80s robot, really. And you feel that, and you hear it in the sound design as well. And like when you're shooting enemies, you can target them, and then as it does in the film, he, you've got those like crosshairs that does cross onto enemies and highlights enemies, and you get headshots, and you can shoot people in the nuts, and you get an achievement for it. And it's brilliant. And like they hold their nuts and they crouch and oh wow, and then you can shoot arms. Like it's really gruesome and bloody as well. Like you can shoot the arms off, you can shoot hands off, you can get an upgrade for your gun, where you can make the gore effects even more gory. So it's just you get like this, you smear them all over the walls with like blood and bone and body bits. It's brutal, but it's authentic. It's great, and that's as I was playing this game. When you first start playing, you go into the station. You've got the music, the authentic dun 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 dun. You've got the authentic music of the movie, so you've got that playing in the background, which makes you feel more immersed. And as you're going through the station and you're taking out these gang members, you feel like RoboCop, like it's like dead or alive, you're coming with me. And like the way RoboCop, he's like monotone, sort of subtle, sort of the way he speaks, and they're trying to outwit him, and it's not going to work. And it's so good. Like it really, really is. And just on the opening level alone, I would recommend just playing this game. Don't listen to this review. Just go play it and, experience it for yourself. And again, already, and I don't want to jump the gun, but I would say already, I feel like I've already got myself a bargain, because I didn't just buy for I think for like £4, I think I bought this for, or like £4.90 or something like that. It was under a fiver. I managed to get not just the standard version, but I managed to get the Alex Murphy edition, which comes with like an extra gun. I think you get a shotgun. You also get some skins for like a RoboCop and skins for the gun and stuff like that. And I think it comes with the soundtrack and art book, which I've looked at the soundtrack and the art book, and it's quite cool to look at those sort of things. But I managed to get like the enhanced edition of it, so I've got like I've got RoboCop walking around at the moment like battle hardened, like damaged sort of RoboCop. So I don't like the clean and pristine shiny look. I wanted the damaged look. Looks like this is a RoboCop that's been through the events of RoboCop 1, RoboCop 2. He's battle hardened, and that again, that's my sort of inner monologue sort of canon lore. Like, yes, I could have him nice and shiny and like a metal head, yeah, I could, but I like him having battle damage. And the gun skin I've got is like a prototype, so it looks like he hasn't had time. He's like, he is the law. He has to go. I ain't got time to be fixed and all that. So again, I'm already building my own little head canon of my version of RoboCop in this story. I'm having fun with that. The story is interesting as well. Like once you get over the first sort of linear mission where you're going up through raid style through this news broadcast tower, then you're left out onto the streets of old Detroit, and you can solve crimes, kind of like Batman, really. You're solving crimes, solving cases. I solved a murder, which felt very much like LA Noire. There was a crime where somebody's car got stolen, so I had to go through a garage and I had to find out, use my sort of detective skills and use scanning of documents and things like that to find out who did it. I found the bloke, found out that he was being blackmailed and he didn't want to steal the car. He had to steal the car because the guys were going to kill him. So I managed to track down the guys that did it, found a chop shop, killed everybody there, managed to find out like who was it, what was it doing, shut that whole chop shop down. I managed to kind of help the kid up and give him community service, and set him on the straight and narrow and that sort of thing. And there's loads of other cases like that. And I was thinking, they didn't have to do that. The Taeon didn't have to go for the extra work of they could have had it as a linear story of you do this mission, you do that mission. And again, I would have been fine with that because again, it's not boring. It's fun. It's great going from hall to hall. Close quarters combat. They're throwing grenades at you. You can pick up chairs and you can throw chairs at them. You can pick up a monitor and you can throw them onto them and they electrocutes them and kills them. It's hilarious, and the gameplay itself is a lot of fun. But to have that extra features where I can be a detective, I can see a car that's been parked for too long, and I can check the meter, and they haven't been there and returned, so I can put a ticket on the window. It's little things like that where I'm like, yeah, he is a cop. Now, yes, he's a walking tank, but he's still a cop. He's there to uphold the law. So if you're gonna spray paint walls, he's gonna give you a ticket. Or he's going to sort of take you and, give you community service. Or, if you're a threat to him, he's going to take you down, lethal force, that sort of thing. So these extra things weren't needed, but I appreciate them being there, So majority of my time, was actually running around old Detroit, just solving cases, being a detective, being a copper, really. And then once I'd done everything there, then I carried on the mission. And I ain't gonna go too far in because of spoilers. But then I found the main bad guy from the first mission, figured that all out, and it kind of where I've left it. I've now got I can upgrade my gun as well, so I can do more things with that. But you can upgrade yourself as well, which is fantastic. And there's a whole sort of XP, and you can find collectibles, you can find stolen items and stuff like that. Like I don't want to get too far into it because again, this is my first initial experience, and so I'm going to have to pull myself back because I don't want to talk about spoilers. But this should be sort of a good example of like this game is that much fun that I had to tear myself away. I had to stop myself playing because I knew that I was going too far and that I needed to do this introduction. That I needed to. Like I've experienced enough of the game where it's like I need to get going with the review. Otherwise, if I hadn't pulled myself back, I would have kept going and going, and I would have completed it. So as of yet, haven't done it, but yeah, I really am enjoying it so far. Like it just feels like a lost movie of RoboCop. Like it feels like it belongs in this universe. As I'm walking around old Detroit, it looks like the movies. It sounds like the movies. RoboCop looks and again does sound because again Peter Weller. Everything just feels like RoboCop, and this is what amazes me. Like Tayon would do weren't known for being great for a long time. They did a lot of shovelware. Then they did the Rambo game, and it was terrible. And then years and years later, let them cook, let them sort of get to a point where they're ready. Then they made Terminator Resistance, and that blew me away because that was incredible. And they're playing this game, and they've upped themselves again. And they're slowly becoming a favorite of mine for doing license-based games because you don't get license-based games anymore. Like they went out of fashion. You don't get them. So to get a license-based game that is authentic to the license, to the IP that it's using, is really rare nowadays. You don't get it, and whenever you do get it, it's usually half-assed. But these guys, Tayon, they're not. So I'm really wanting to follow what they do next because I am absolutely floored by what they was able to do here, and I hadn't even completed the game. That's the thing, already I feel like I've got my money's worth and more. And knowing that there's an expansion, so there's more game coming out soon, I can't wait. So I don't know what else to say other than I'm going to go off and play some more RoboCop, and then when we come back, I'm just gonna give you my thoughts and feelings. Really, who knows? At this point, it might fall flat on its face. It might be like, oh, it was great to begin with, but got terrible. I doubt it. I really, really do because so far, so good. You know what I mean? It's brilliant so far. So I'm going to off and finish playing, and then when I come back, we will talk deeper and feel like if I have got myself a bargain or not. But so far, I think I have. So I will see you all in a minute. And welcome back, everybody. So I have now finished playing RoboCop Rogue City. Honestly, going straight into it, my first impressions, it's bloody brilliant. What this studio has been able to do with this game is damn near incredible, especially coming off, like I said, their Rambo game, and then it's like leaving them to stew, leaving them to boil, and then they came out of nowhere with the Terminator game, which again, if you listen to that review, that blew me away as well because how faithful that game was. And then they simmer and let it boil again, and they go into the lab, and they make this weird scientific experiment that shouldn't work but does, and then they announce they're going to do RoboCop, and then RoboCop comes out, everybody plays it, I play it, and I'm blown away. It looks real. Like, again, we'll get into all the graphics and that later, but the graphics are really, really impressive. Now, I'm not one for graphics. I'll be honest with you, I prefer story over graphics. I could happily play a game that looks terrible, but plays great, or has a great story, or has great characters, that sort of thing. I don't really care nowadays for graphics. But this looks absolutely incredible. Like, there were many moments where I stopped playing just to look around, and it was, I don't know, was I in a game, or was I actually RoboCop? It actually feels real. And then you got the sounds and the way RoboCop moves. He doesn't move too quick. He doesn't move too slow. Everything just works to get you immersed, to make you feel like I am watching a movie. I am watching an experience with RoboCop, another story, another tale. I'm going on this adventure with RoboCop, with Alex Murphy, and it's incredible. It really, really is. Like I'm blown away by the gameplay, by the effort, by the authenticity, by how close it is. Like it's one for one, so authentic. It's so faithful to the source material that generally, if you hadn't told anybody this was a game, and then you just took the hood away and just sort of showed somebody a video on YouTube who didn't know it was a video game, they would think this was a RoboCop sequel that they had never seen, or like some sort of lost movie that was never released, or something like that. Like it's genuinely really, really impressive. Now saying that, there are some things when I not bad, just kind of fact of small little things where I was like, where you realize that majority of things are tied to the achievements, so that, and again, this is a me thing more so, that once you've done those things that are tied to achievements, you don't seem to need to do them again unless you really, really want to. Otherwise, they're kind of just in the way, and you just kind of just want to get on with it. And again, I'll sort of get into more of that a little bit later when I talk about gameplay. But overall, as a package, I will say this is worth the entry fee. This is worth the sales pitch, you know, the £5 or less, which I did. I managed to get more for my money as well, because I got the Alex Murphy edition. So I got weapon skins and ammo, like armor skins, so like RoboCop could look damaged, which I'll be honest, I only put it on once, which is only really worth it through cutscenes, because you see through the first person, so you actually never get to see yourself in the third person, which would have been a good feature, actually, thinking about it. I would have loved to have played RoboCop in the third person, just to kind of, because again, we all know that RoboCop stance, where like that Western stance, where he has the gun outstretched, and you know he's got the automatic repeater pistol with a brr, 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 brr. I would have loved to seen that stance in third person, just for the experience, just for the novelty of that is what RoboCop is, you know, without seeing it in cutscenes and then experiencing it through the first person view. It would have been great to see that over the shoulder angle shooting, which would have been great. Again, it's not in here, but that would have been a great feature that I would have loved. But again, I digress. The point is what you get in terms of features, in terms of gameplay, in terms of authenticity, and the way it looks, the way it feels. It's a steal. Even if you're not a RoboCop fan, which if you are, you'll absolutely love this game. You will devour it completely and will leave you, like it has me, wanting more. Even if you're not a RoboCop fan, you will still be left with a feeling of this is a brilliant game. This is a lot of fun. It's gory. It's gruesome. Yes, admittedly, it can be a bit repetitive at times and a bit samey. But there's, again, when it comes to what you get and what RoboCop is, to me, that kind of fair enough. But again, I'll go into a bit more details when we get into the gameplay. But yeah, generally, first impressions, I can't knock it. I really, really can't. I feel like I've got my money's worth for the authenticity alone, for the gameplay, and for the added features. That, for me, is enough. And then you have the extra stuff like the story, the characters, and you know, they brought Peter Weller back to play RoboCop, to the voice, his likeness, and you know, you've got Lewis is back, and you've got all the returning people are back, and it feels like I never left. Now, admittedly, I'm a big fan of RoboCop. I haven't seen RoboCop in years, admittedly, because it's not on TV as much as it used to when I was younger. But even though I haven't seen it in years, and then this is moving on to the story, it feels like I never left. It feels like I'm feels like I'd watched RoboCop yesterday. It feels new to me. It feels like I'm falling straight back into the shoes of Murphy, of RoboCop, of you know, Detroit. Like it was yesterday. Like I'd experienced RoboCop for the first time yesterday, and then this is just a continuation of that. You know, so it's gotten me sort of excited. If anything, that want, that craving, that need to now go off and watch RoboCop. And admittedly, I love RoboCop 1. Don't really remember much of RoboCop 2. and I don't remember a lot of RoboCop 3, but I want to go back and watch them. So again, watch this space. I might get around to reviewing the RoboCop movies now because I've got that bug, as they say. But yeah, so as for the story of the game, so the story takes place after the events of RoboCop 2, just before the events of RoboCop 3, and I don't want to go into spoilers. I don't really want to ruin anything. But there's this new guy in town, and they even call him the new guy in town. And he is trying to get all the gangs together. He's trying to get the Torchheads, which are like a punk sort of gang together. Very sort of stereotypical 80s sort of punk, like the tips and the middle of the head shaved. Kind of like if you played Fallout 3, the weird, crazy hairstyles, the mohawks and stuff like that all died. That sort of look, really. And then you've got, I think it's called the Riverside Bikers as well. I think they're called. Like a biker gang. So you've got these two gangs being sort of put together to kind of take over Detroit by this new guy. And as RoboCop, you are sort of sent in to be a police officer, to be a detective, to figure out who the new guy is, why he's trying to get all these gangs together, how does it link in the OCP, how it links in with Nuke, this drug, and it's sort of while that's going on as well, you also have the moments where RoboCop, and it sounds a bit silly, but it's actually really interesting. RoboCop he goes into therapy because again, after the events of RoboCop 1 and RoboCop 2, again, I wish I'd watched the movies before doing this review so I can kind of better explain it. But after the events of those two movies, there is a sort of concern, shall we say, for RoboCop and his actions and how that his past trauma is potentially affecting him. So they give him counselling. Well, the OCP kind of give him some sort of behavioural monitoring, as they call it. And you get to learn more about Alex Murphy. You get to learn more about his trauma, about his past, about how he sees himself. Does he see himself as a machine? Does he see himself as a human? And there's choice and consequence in this game as well. Like, again, another thing that wasn't needed, but they put it in. You have the choice and consequences. You can choose. You get dialogue options. You can choose what you want to reply with. Do you want to play RoboCop as a machine? Then you can say, look, I see myself as a machine. Or you can open up and you can be like, look, I see myself as a human. And like the one psychiatrist lady, she goes, what do you call yourself? Do you call yourself Alex Murphy? Do you call yourself RoboCop? Do you call yourself a machine? And you can choose. And whatever choice you choose, the doctor and everybody else will then refer to you as, hey, Murphy, or hey, RoboCop, sort of thing, which again, didn't need it, but I appreciate it's there because it's just an extra thing as well. And then, you can be a detective. They send you out. And again, it's this tiny little sandbox, really. And once you go there, once you've seen everything, you've basically seen it all, really. But again, it's highly detailed, these little sort of pocket area of Detroit that you get to go into. And you can just follow the mission. You get sort of primary objectives and secondary objectives. And you can, if you want to, go into these little hub areas and just follow the main objective. Or you can be a detective if you want. And you can decide, I'm going to go solve a murder. So you solve a murder, you scan the bodies, you follow the clues, you piece things together. Now, again, it's not as intricate as like trying to say, you have to decide, is it him, is it her, is it that person? And whoever you choose, if you choose right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Someone's getting prosecuted. It's not as deep as that. It is literally like you follow the clues and it leads to the one person. And then when you find that one person, then they get arrested or whatever. Which again, I really appreciate it for that, because again, there are moments where I'm sitting there thinking, well, and again, this kind of not to the negative, but also goes towards the more sort of once you realise everything's tied to achievements, you don't really need to do it. At first, I really loved the side missions and side objectives, and they gave you XP, which meant you could then do an upgrade system, which again, I'll get into that bit in a minute. But one of the things that kind of got me was the fact of once I'd done those sort of side missions, and especially the specific side missions that kind of give you achievements, once I had done them, I kind of felt like I wanted a bit more of a linear sort of experience with RoboCop. Because again, even though I appreciated them, it was a surprise. I didn't expect them, so it was fun, and I gave them a go. But every time I went into this little Detroit hub area, I didn't want to do it every time. I didn't want to have to constantly stop what I was doing to do these extra side missions, even though they were interesting and like they helped and they brought trust to the local area, so the people trusted you more, and that you gained more trust with the police force, and the police force got a lot more trust, a lot more authority in the area and stuff like that. And like there are small funny things as well. Like there's this one guy that I saw, and he was spray painting the side of a wall, and I managed to go up to him, and I had a bit of a cutscene, and I could give him a ticket, or I could give him community service. Or there was a guy who left his car parked for too long, and the parking meter had run out, and I could put a ticket on his windscreen. Like it's little things like that. I really just the small, silly little quirky things that you're not going to do all the time, but you appreciate. And I didn't mind those sort of things. It was just the fact of once I'd done what I needed to do, it was more in terms of achievements. It was like, well, I don't really want to do this now. I kind of want to get on with the story. So that's what I decided to do. But the reason I bring it up is the fact of it's that appreciation of like they didn't have to do it. They could have easily have done just a linear story where you go from point A to point B, you do the mission, you go to another area, do that, and then so on and so forth. But they didn't. You go to those locations, you go to a hospital, you go to an old quarry, you go to an old factory area, you go to a part of Detroit that's currently being knocked down, so the new Delta City, it can be built. You go to the part of Detroit that hasn't been destroyed. You can explore the whole of the police station, so the iconic police station has been faithfully recreated, so you can explore all the little details and things there, which again, somebody being a big RoboCop fan, I really appreciate just spending a lot of time just trudging along back and forth in the police station and just looking at all the extra bits of detail. And I think this is what Teon really sort of do great, is just authentically accurate into like presentations of things that you love. And that's one of the things that, again, I come back to it of the Terminator game that I played, was the fact of, even though the game got a little bit repetitive, again, the same sort of thing was like, I'd rather just do the overall sort of main mission. I've done a bit of side stuff. I don't want to constantly keep doing side stuff. Even though it kind of had the same thing, it was still great. It was still wonderful hiding from the T-800s and the older sort of Terminator models as well. And then trying to skulk my way through, because again, that game has a bit of stealth and combat as well, which again, I really loved and enjoyed. So like they do a fantastic job of like authentically putting you into an environment that you know, but also make it feel new, make it feel fresh, make it feel sort of something that you haven't seen before. Like just to being able to get close to the desks and just to see what's on one of the police officers' desks that's in the background of the film that you never get to see because you don't need to see, but being able to go there and look, I love it. I really do. As for the gameplay, which adds to the visuals, and the story is pretty good. And again, there is a big twist, and again, I'm not going to spoil it, but it is quite interesting, and it is quite faithful to what you'd expect from a RoboCop sort of story, and especially some of the things and some of the people and some of the I don't want to go into spoilers, but some of the things that you get to encounter and fight are pretty good, to be honest. Where was I then? Oh, talk about gameplay. So the gameplay is it's definitely what you would expect. It's shooty bang bang, but that's not a bad thing, because that's what you want from RoboCop. You want to be able to shoot a guy in the nuts and him to hold his his weenus, as we say, and to cry and scream and to get on his knees. Or you want to be able to shoot a gun out of an enemy's hands, and the hand to just blow up into a mist of red, of bone and shrapnel, you know what I mean? Like, and then to scream, my hand, or then to be able to shoot them in the head and the head pops and stuff like that. Like there's an upgrade system on the guns as well, which I'll get into. But there's no on the gun system, you can tweak it where you can have more gore, so that when you shoot an enemy, you can get more blood spatters on the wall, you get more sort of their heads explode more and stuff like that. Like it's absolutely brilliant. Again, extra details and features that wasn't needed, but are incredibly appreciated. And that's the thing about this game, is that I appreciated so much because I wasn't expecting any of it. I was just expecting a linear story. And then to get all this extra stuff was like a birthday cake that just had more layers of like, oh, that's delicious. That's delicious. Oh, wow. But it keeps going. You know what I mean? Like I kept peeling. And it was like, wow, I can't believe it. So it was just great. So being able to trud around, doof, 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 dead or alive, coming with me, and to be able to shoot a guy in the penis and to blow people's heads off, to blow hands off was great. And like I said, there were different weapons where like you're not just stuck with the auto pistol. You know, there's machine guns, you've got shotguns, there's and they all feel great. They all sound great. They sound a lot of them sound a lot what you'd expect them to sound from the show. You can pick up like you can what's it called now? Like a machine gun, a 50 cal machine gun. You can pick that up and mow enemies down with that if you want. And you just turn all your enemies into paste. There's one as well where you can pick up the in RoboCop 1 that 50 cal that fires the explosive rounds. There's one part of the game where you can pick that up and you just turning mincemeat out of mercenaries and hoodlums and gang members. It's fantastic. It's biblical. It's wonderful. And it's a lot of fun. It really, really is. And again, one of the things that comes with it, though, is that with the fun comes a bit of repetitiveness. Is the fact of you're doing the same thing. And again, I don't see that as a bad thing. I just want to mention it because it's not an inherently bad thing that gets repetitive. It's just the fact of, in my opinion, there's not much more else you can do with RoboCop because that is what RoboCop does. As well as being a copper and being a detective and solving crimes, he also shoots and bad guys, you know, and it's gory, it's visceral and stuff like that. So there's not much more you can do with him. So even though it does get repetitive, and you are going through the sort of they're not all samey, but you're going through like some of the same environments, or you're doing a lot of close quarters and stuff like that. Like at first, it's brilliant. Like when you breach a door for the first time, it's fantastic. But when you do it after like the 20th plus time, it's the kind of the same old thing, you know, which is kind of a shame. As for the upgrade system, so RoboCop has an upgrade system, and there's like, you know, you have your standard combat, health, armor. You've also got focus. You've got I think one's perception, one's engineering. I think another one is dialogue. So basically, one's to do with health, one's to do with armor. Your weapon damage. Focus is like a slow down effect, so you can slow down time and that you move really, really fast and you can get off a lot of critical hits. Engineering allows you to kind of hack drones, and you can hack into safes and get like contraband and stuff like that, which is another little thing. Like you have these little collectible things you can find, which are not really collectibles. They're more just like little things you can find, like a stolen watch or fake ID, and they kind of add to your overall score at the end, which then gives depends on how much XP you get at the end. And you get ratings as well. Like you can have an A rating or B rating, depends how good you do. If you do a lot of the side objectives as well, your rating goes up, which again didn't need it, but I appreciate it. And the higher your rating, the more experience you get, which then more upgrade points you get, which then you can stick into more things. And then each time you get about 3 nodules, and then when you get to the 4th nodule, that gives like an ultimate boost. So you can get one which, again, like I said, slows down time. There's one which you can do like a dash, so you can dash into enemies that are in close range and turn them into mist or knock them down. There is one where I think it was like a shockwave that any enemies, like if you're in close quarters and there's a lot of enemies surround you, you can press this shockwave and it just shocks and kills enemies instantly, which is really useful because near to the end of the game just throws enemies at you and you get swarmed very, very quickly. So to have that function where you can just kill everything in your surrounding area, or incapacitate as the game calls it, but they're dead. All right, they're dead. So there's little features are great. And then there's one with the armor as well, so you can actually put a shield around you as well, so you can take a lot more damage. And there's one with like one of the final upgrades of the shields is so that with your armor, sorry, is that some of the bullets that get fired at you will ricochet and hit the person that shot you, the enemy, which again is straight out of the show. I mean, out of the film, which one of the bad guys shoots RoboCop and it bounces off and hits him and kills him. You know, so it's straight out of the movie, which again really love and appreciate. These little details, again, not needed, but they're there and you appreciate them for them. And it's one of those where it's like, because they're there, you'd miss them if they were taken away. That's kind of the best way to explain it. But yeah, the gameplay, it is very samey, but it's a lot of fun. You're playing as RoboCop. There's so much more you can do. He's not Doom Guy. He can't jump. He doesn't run around everywhere. There is a bit of a sprint, but it's not really a sprint. It's kind of like a quick jog, like a speed walk sort of thing. So, you know, there's that. But again, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm looking for. It just does get a little bit repetitive. as they start to throw more enemies at you, and it feels like ammo gets less and less and less as the enemies take more and more shots to take them down. So you are basically tied to just using your pistol, which has infinite ammo. Which again, there is an upgrade system for your guns, so you've got these little chips that you can find scattered throughout the game. You can use these chips to upgrade your pistol, and then you can find these big motherboards that upgrade and give you more nodules to you can do more damage and more armor piercing, things like that. Or you can have like special things, so you can get like the gun will do more gore damage, or it will do ricochet bullets and stuff like that. Or it will like it will go straight through metal objects. If an enemy hiding behind like a breeze block wall sort of thing, it will go straight through there. And again, that's great, but it never feels that no matter how much I upgraded my pistol never felt like it was getting stronger. It did against the enemies at first, the weaker enemies, but as the game went on, it was one of them of like, even though it was one of the weapons that I ended up having to fall back on. I didn't want to fall back on it because it didn't feel strong enough. Even though I upgraded it and I put all the biggest and best sort of percentage chips in as well, the pistol never felt strong. It always felt like it felt like to the later enemies, just like I was kissing them. You know what I mean? It just felt like I was just slapping them. It didn't feel like it was doing anything. So I ended up having to scour on the ground to look for weapons just to use them, which then you'd use half the magazine, a lot of these guns, to kill one or two enemies. Depends on which ones you're going up against. And it got to a point where it was a little bit, okay, this is a bit annoying sort of thing. But again, not overly a bad thing, just a little thing that bothered me. But yeah, so that's the story, gameplay, art style. I've mentioned the art style. Not really much weight in collectibles. Like I said, there's little things you can find that helps your overall sort of ranking, your overall score. But no real sort of collectibles or anything like that. On to my overall thoughts. Overall thoughts is that going into this, I was expecting a linear game, and to be honest, I would have loved a linear experience with RoboCop. Even though I appreciate everything that comes with it, there are certain times where I'm sitting there thinking I would have just loved a point eight. Look, because I'm going for that nostalgia period at the moment where I really miss the linear games that I grew up with on the original Xbox, the 360, the PlayStation 3, those games that was just go to point A, point B. And I've actually found myself recently going back and playing older Call of Duty games for that hit, for that experience, because those games, even now, that's still what they're doing. Like, again, no, the new ones are still trying to do sort of side things here and there, but inherently that is what they are. It's like you sit in an area, you go from point A to point B, mission ends, and then you just do it again in a different area. And I'm starting to miss that as well. So I would have appreciated a linear experience, but I also appreciate what we got. And I know that they're currently, which as of recording this, it's not out yet, but in July, I think the 17th of July, I think thereabouts, they're releasing an expansion, which I think is called RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business, which, from looking at the trailer, from looking at what people have said about it, in terms of sort of not reviews, but like developer talk, that sort of thing, it looks like the raid. It looks like the raid meets Judge Dredd in an OCB tower block, and you've got to make your way from the bottom to the top, which sounds incredible. And when I saw that, and also I had the same experience while I was playing this game, after this, what I want Tayon to do, I want a Judge Dredd game. Even if they go the Judge Dredd of Sylvester Stallone, if they go that way, if they want to go back to the classic sort of original version of Judge Dredd in terms of movies, if they want to do that, I'm not against it. And even if they want to bring Sly back as well, again, I'm not against that. Again, I would prefer the Carl Urban version, but if they wanted to do an authentic like they did with not Transformers, with Terminator, and they've done here with RoboCop, if they want to do a Judge Dredd and they want to do it like that, I'd be completely here for it. But that was what I was getting when I was like, this feels great. I love what they're doing here. I really want them to do a Judge Dredd game. And then when I saw the Unfinished Business, I was just like, that feels like Judge Dredd. So if that works, if that's successful, then definitely I'd want to see them to do a Dredd game. But the reason I bring it up is the fact of that feels like a linear sort of experience. It generally feels like you're going from point A to point B, so from the bottom to the top. And I'm all here for that. And like in that one, they're also mentioning like you get to play as Alex Murphy before he becomes RoboCop, when he's just a deputy, when he's a new recruit, when he's a human. So that should be a lot of fun as well, because I love the bits where you have these little nightmare sequences when you play as RoboCop, when he's glitching and he's having these nightmare traumas, and kind of like he did in the first RoboCop when he goes to the house that he bought with his family, and as he's walking around it, he sees his wife, he sees his son, he sees the TV and stuff like that. You have that experience as well in this game, and it really flushes out the character. And again, I appreciate it, and I think that should be the overall slogan of this review, is the fact of I just appreciate everything that this game is and that what it does. I didn't expect it. I didn't really want it or need it. I wasn't asking for it, but to get it, I now want it. You know what I mean? Like I would miss it if it was taken away from me, if that makes sense. Even though I experienced it at some things a little bit and then I never did them again, it didn't matter. It was the fact of they were there and I could experience them whenever I wanted to. And for that, you have to really appreciate it for that. You know what I mean? So yeah, my overall thoughts are it's really authentic. It's really sort of faithful to the source material. And if you're a RoboCop fan, this is the game you've been looking for a long time. And even if you're not a RoboCop fan, if you just want to play sort of a fun shooter game with some sort of choice-based elements as well, that have consequences to the end of the game and to the way how characters talk to you, perceive you, how the world changes, and how RoboCop's choices affect the overall sort of story and stuff like that. And obviously, if you want to be a detective, if you want to take RoboCop completely out of the action and to put him into being a detective, you can do that as well. So yeah, I just feel like no matter what you're looking for, you will get a lot of fun out of this, because it is everything and anything you'd want out of a RoboCop game and more, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know how to say it. It's just the fact of you don't know what you've got until you've got it, and then you sit there and you're like, wow, I'm really just blown away by the effort that this studio has put into it. And not just that, this is a studio that was known for Rambo for such a long time, and I feel like from what they've done with Terminator and what they've done here, I would love them to have another crack at Rambo. Let them have a go at it again. That'd be interesting. Be like, look, taking all they've learned and all their experience and all the lessons that they've sort of taken and put into their newer games. Why not go back and do Rambo? Like, do it again. Be like, look, you messed up the first time, but you've redeemed yourself. Try it again. See if you can kind of strike gold this time. And do a Judge Dredd game. I don't know what else they could do. Like, there's so much 80s greatness they could do as well. I just can't think of it at the top of my head. But yeah, I think all I want now from them is just to see a Judge Dredd game. A Judge Dredd game that's done well and is faithful. And I feel like these guys could do it. I think they really, really could. I think they've got it in the bag, really, to be able to do that. It just, who knows, really? Who bloody knows? So that is my sort of overall thoughts. As for the overall sort of main important thing of this episode, is it worth the entry fee? By now, if you can't tell, the answer is yes. It is. It's worth the entry fee completely. Again, it's always on sale. This is a game that is on sale a lot, especially recently. Now, that could be down to the fact that they want more people to play this game so that they are ready, so that when they bring out their new game in the middle of July, people will buy it and people will play it and experience it. I don't know that for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me, because I've seen the base game go for about £3.60 on the Xbox store. Again, the Alex Murphy edition goes for about £4 thereabouts. That's what I bought it for. So yeah, I think it's worth it. Give it a go, give it an experience. And that's that. If you're an achievement hunter, it's brilliant. I managed to get about 600 to 700 gamer score just by playing the game. And all the extra stuff, like the extra stuff that I've got that I need to get the full 1000 game score, is on the shooting range. There's a shooting range in the police station. Like there's two layers. So you've got the above layer and you've got the underground layer where where the cop cars are and stuff like that. There's a shooting range, and the achievements are basically like get a score of 150, and the next one's like get a score of 250. Then it's like get a score of I think 300 or 350 or something like that, and then it goes from like 10 or 15 gamer score, 30 gamer score, and then 90 gamer score. So it's really, really easy to do, especially if you upgrade yourself so you can do focus and slow-mo, which I've got a good chunk upgraded. More than likely, I could crack them out very, very quickly. You know what I mean? So if you're an achievement hunter, it's worth it. If you are a RoboCop fan, it's worth it. If you want a new experience, if you want just a game where you haven't got to try very hard, it is shooty bang bang. If you want to stick it on the easiest difficulty, and just shoot and be RoboCop and shoot things, you can. If you want to put it on the harder difficulty, which don't get me wrong, I have tried it on the harder difficulty and it wasn't easy. But if you want that challenge, you can do that as well. So for under a $5, it's a complete bargain, and you get a continuation of the RoboCop story, and you get an authentic take on this world, and it looks authentic. It looks exactly what it should look like. You get Peter Weller back, so you've got the voice, you've got the look, everything it just feels like a missing episode of RoboCop. You would be mad not to pick this up if you saw it on sale. You would. So yeah, there's not really much more I can say about it other than just go buy it. Stop listening, go buy it. It's always on sale. I see it on a sale a lot now. And if you like it and enjoy it, you haven't got long to wait for the expansion, which comes out very, very soon as a recording this. And if I do this cleverly, by the time this episode is out and you're hearing it, the new expansion should either be out now or out very, very soon. So yeah, if you're on Xbox or if you're on PC, PlayStation, whatever you're on, wishlist it, buy it, pre-order it, get it, because I have no sort of doubt whatsoever that if this came out in 2023 and then the expansion comes out in 2025, taking all the feedback that they got when this game came out and putting it in a raid style sort of experience, going from the bottom to the top, to me, they've got my money already, and I'm not even going to wait for it to go on sale. I will buy it wholesale, completely, full price, and happily too, if I'm going to get more of what I want and more of what I was hoping for and looking for, which is a linear RoboCop experience. So to me, it's a bargain. To me, it's a win. And to you, by now, it should be a win, and it should be a game that you're buying and playing right now. So for that fact, in total, I'm going to go. I've said all I need to say. I've said my piece. Go buy it. It's an absolute bargain. Thank you very, very much for listening. I don't know what the next game's going to be, to be honest, because I haven't bought it yet. But as recording this, it's currently Monday. So the Xbox game sales go on tomorrow, every Tuesday. So I'll be perusing through the Xbox marketplace looking for my next £5 bargain or bin. But until then, thank you very, very much for listening. I've been your host, Luke the Howdy Bean. You've been listening to the Howdy Beans podcast, and I will see you in the next one. Dead or alive, you're coming with me.